Today is Friday, July 27th. It's about 3:45, and I am here downtown Chicago, out doing a bit of, say, urban or candid photography, and thought I would try to record some and see if this is at all interesting or not. It's a really windy day, so this might be really boring or bullshit. I just have my phone tucked into my pocket, so this might look like garbage, or it might be focused an inch in front of my face. So bear with me. I'm out here with my XH1 and my new 35 f1.4. I had the 35 f2. I just traded it. Somebody I met on Facebook for the 1.4 and $50. So lens seems to be in pretty good shape. I think it's been dropped at least once. I think the elements are just slightly out of alignment. The focus ring is a little tight. You can feel the motors kind of struggle. But, you know, it's functional and it's close enough. I didn't buy this lens for absolute optical perfection, so that's okay by me. But I'll probably end up shipping it to Fujifilm sometime just to get it CLA'd. So just walking around for now. Just take a quick shot of myself to start this off. Let's go. Yeah, so I said this is urban/candid photography. If you asked me 2 years ago, I probably would have said it's street photography, but I'm sort of drifting away from that term now. I think it's starting to lose its meaning, and I think that's largely because of something like Instagram. Yeah, there's a lot of people who post the same sort of high contrast photos of any old pedestrian in the street, or their long shadow, or their back. I call it street photography, where I really like to think of street photography as like Daido Moriyama. So I'm just walking around still. The weather is a little bad. It's sunny out, but there's also some heavy clouds. When I go out, I usually try to decide I try to make a decision about what I want these photos to be. And that's often related to the weather conditions out. So if it's super, super overcast and pure gray, it's really hard to get a nice photo. And that's because the lighting is really even and flat. And also, there's not a lot of interest in the sky. So if you take a photo and everything's all flat and even, it kind of just looks bland. But it's kind of a gloomy day where you can feel a lot of volume in the clouds. That's a situation where I might switch to black and white right away, or try to go with any contrast. But it's not anything like this. I'll probably stick with classic chrome. Just to get some sort of, I don't know, kind of popular style photos. Yeah. I biked down here today, So I'm probably going to stay within like a 10 block radius or so of where I parked. Luckily, Chicago Loop itself is pretty small, so probably won't even exceed those bounds anyways. I love the light here on these columns. Let's see if we can make a nice photograph here. Just looking at this, there's already such contrast between the light and the dark on the columns, so let's see if we can walk up to one of these sections. I'm actually going to violate what I just said and switch to my high contrast black and white film simulation. This is a 35 obviously, so it's a 50 millimeter equivalent, so I can't get as close as I would with a 35 or even a 28 obviously. But it should be close enough to add some interesting photos. And because I like this spot, I'm actually just gonna hang out here for a minute and see if something interesting happens. With urban photography, with street photography, I think a big part of the goal is to capture a very, very specific moment, which I guess is true of all photography, but with this sort of photography, really, that's the whole photo right there. Yeah, I mean, architecture, you're looking for lines, you're looking for geometry, but photography like this, it's really important just to get the exact second right. Just took a photo and it was not good. So when I'm out taking a photo, I look for a couple things. I look for light, which obviously is what we're playing with mostly, this exact moment. I look for composition. That could be nice framing, or a frame within a frame, or some particular sense of shape or volume that's I find interesting. And I also look for moments, so if something out of the ordinary is going on, or if I think a reaction might be nice, try to swoop in and capture it. I see a guy coming up here with a suit. I'm going to try to get him in a photo. He's walking pretty close to the wall. Maybe he'll give me a good look. And I took it, but I don't think it's very good. Let's see if I can't I'll stick around here for another minute or so. Never want to stick around in the same spot for too long. And see, now the light is dissipated, so. Yeah, I overstayed my welcome. Let's get out. So when doing photography like this, I have a few rules for myself, which obviously I break all the time. Even the photos I was railing against before, if you go through my portfolio, I'm sure you can find plenty of examples. It's not to say those photos can't be good, but they're just a little trite at this point. And to make them really something spectacular or interesting is very tough. Not impossible, but tough. What's the idea? So some of these rules are partially about exploitation. So this is a really important subject, I think, with candid and urban and street photography, of course. All photography is exploitation. someone. It's sort of an egoist move, right? You're capturing something that doesn't belong to you. And that's fairly odd if you think about it. This sort of rights question comes up a lot if you're just getting into street photography or just trying to figure out how to shoot people, or if you can shoot people and what the laws are regarding that. So first off, you can. In the United States, the recording rights vary state by state, but if you're just taking a photo of somebody, I don't think there's any sort of legal precedent blocking you from doing so. Illinois, where I am, obviously, is a one-party consent state, which means if I know I'm recording somebody's audio, then it's legal, even if they're not aware. So there obviously are laws regarding who you can photograph and how and whatever. I couldn't take a photo of somebody on a street and put them in a Coca-Cola ad, but if I'm doing fine art photography or personal photography, as I am right now, then there isn't anything really to block me there. Just took the trite flamingo photo, but we're here, you gotta do it, right? So people get nervous when starting out, especially whether or not you can take photos of people or if you should take photos of people. And I think that second part is really the more important part of the equation. You should or shouldn't. So with photography being an exploitative act, like I said before, I think it's very important to consider the relationship you have to your subject, especially a subject that might not directly be consenting to having their photo taken. I think it's really, really unethical to take a photo of a homeless person, for example, or to go down to a minority neighborhood and take a photo of the residents there if I'm not of that ethnic group or not part of the area. It's sort of like a form of gentrification in a way. I think it's really wrong to go down and try to take a photo in Chinatown or something of a culture that you don't understand properly and you can't understand properly just because of who you are. Now, I'm not saying you should never take photos in ethnic neighborhoods or something, and I think the right photographer and the person with the right worldview could make some really interesting photographs there, especially if you were Chinese American and parents, or the daughter, the child of an immigrant family who's from the area. I'm sure you can make some really, really lovely photographs there. But for me, especially as a white, privileged, upper-middle-class guy, I think it's really out of place to do something like that. And, if you're exploiting people already, I think it's best to try to minimize that as much as possible. It's super windy. I wonder if this is coming through at all. I might just be talking to myself. Well, I'm certainly talking to myself. So walking around here, I'm just looking for something more interesting than just other people. Big photos of random tourists or other pedestrians. photo platform of choice, but opted against it. But who knows? Maybe I'll go back to it. So I just did a quick turn there because saw a photo I wanted to get through the glass here. I wanted to prepare myself for it. I'm just going to move my focus point a little bit where I think I'm going to frame up to. And this is obviously pushing a little bit with what you can and cannot or should not photograph. So I smiled and waved at her after I took her photo. I try to acknowledge the people I photograph when I'm really blatant about it, even if not even if. I try to acknowledge the people I photograph after I photographed them, if it's really obvious, which I guess sort of violates a rule with street photography in that it's supposed to be candid and unseen. But I think that's part of making people feel comfortable about it, you know. You're taking somebody's photograph, you're taking somebody's likeness. It's really important to me to try to be as respectful and empathetic with everyone as possible. If there's somebody who clearly does not want their photo taken, I'm not going to take their photo, even if it seems like it might be a really good one, because I bet there's another photo somewhere else I can take that's not going to make somebody feel uncomfortable or weird or whatever. Just walked past the Popeyes store. Everything smells really caramely. Just going across and trying not to get hit by this motorcycle, by this bicyclist. So I'm sort of in the center of the loop. This is Jackson Boulevard I'm on right now. Heading west here, kind of goes into the financial district a little bit, which is a great place to be. Damn, I want that guy's photo. This dude on the bike with the this tan suit on. I'm gonna try to get a photo of this one here with these dragon balloons. That's just such a playful sort of thing. Still unclassic. Just gonna reposition my focus point a little bit. The skateboarders. Yeah, so now that the light is pretty consistent. Like I said, it is like 4 o'clock now, so with the light being pretty consistent, I am just kind of walking around looking for moments for cool photos to get.
Okay. Well,
I like the balloons. Oh, really? Yeah. That's a good reward.
Yeah, my coworkers know me well.
Yeah. Have a nice one. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of hardcore street photographers who would frown on me for interacting with my subject as I just did, but I don't know. I took a photo of her, and I feel like I owe her at least my time and just a sense of awareness. I don't want to take a photo of somebody and make them feel weird or make them feel like they're just a subject or less of a person in any sort of way. Cute baby. So anytime I could acknowledge somebody, I'm going to try to do so. I think that's really important, not just for photography, but for life, you know. You want to be empathetic. I can be a very coarse person, so this comes with a grain of salt, but, or take this with a grain of salt, but I think it's really, really important to try not to add any suffering into the world. As serious as that sounds, any unnecessary suffering in the world, which I think can be really easy to do if you're not paying attention, or not thinking about how someone else feels. I'm getting some good light over here, so I'm going to try to hit up this avenue back here in Clark. I think I just got into somebody else's vlog. So Chicago is a very, very heavily gridded city. The city layout is very strong east-west. So after a certain time of day, especially around golden hour, you get a lot of really hard light, which looks good in photography. I have my shutter speed on auto. I guess I'll talk a bit more about my tools. I'm using the X-H1, the Fujifilm camera, obviously. Sort of a larger camera in their lineup. It certainly is. It's the largest camera in their lineup of APS-C size cameras. This is a 35-1.4. 35 is a pretty classic focal length for street photography. Hoping to follow the trends, but on this APS-C size, it works out to about 50 mil, so about normal lens, which is actually a little bit tight for the sort of photography I'm doing right now, I would think. And that's part of having done this for a while, or doing this in general. Kind of off that I like. As I've done it more and more, I started probably with 50 millimeter. 50 was kind of like the one lens I was always sure to get, which is 35 on this system, which I've been in for a couple of years now. And lately I've actually been shooting mostly with the Fuji 23mm f2, which is a really beautiful lens. That's like a 35mm equivalent. And then actually I want to be shooting more, even wider than that. I think I'd really like to try shooting some more at like 28 millimeters. Some focal length in that area. I don't want east to get close, or north rather. Looks like there's some better light over here. So yeah, for some reason street photography seems to attract a lot of snobbery about photographic gear in particular. So you get a lot of people who say you can't shoot street photography if you're not doing 35 millimeters, or if you're not shooting on film, or if you're not shooting Leica. And that's all well and good, you know. I've shot 35, I've shot film, I've shot Leica even, and you know, they're all great systems, but I'm really in the camp of a baseball bat. I'm really in the camp that photo is, or a camera rather, is just a tool, and I I really love Fujifilm for that, because Fujifilm makes cameras that I want to shoot with. They make cameras that feel really good in the hand and are really fun to use in a way that I never really felt with some of the other systems I've shot. They're very portable, and the image quality is incredible. I love the image quality on these cameras. Not to gush too much, but it doesn't matter. If you love Sony and you want to shoot Sony, then that's going to be a great system for you, and you should stick with it. Don't let anybody tell you you can't shoot this sort of photography because you only have a 5D or whatever. You can shoot basically any sort of photography with any sort of camera at this point. Although obviously every camera has their strengths and weaknesses. I think I'm going to loop west to get under the L track. Take it from there.
How you doing? Good, how are you? All right.
Said west and immediately moved east because I saw this hard light. Thought it might be interesting. Love alleyways. Often something interesting going on in an alleyway. There's definitely a good photo to be had here, but I haven't quite seen it. I just looked directly behind him as I took a photo, which is a pretty common reaction. A lot of people will assume you're not taking a photo of them or couldn't be taking a photo of them. Must be trying to find some subject behind them. Something you probably see pretty often if you stick with this sort of work. Just gonna take a photo of this, the light on this sign here. Which is now fading pretty hard. I'll fix it in post. I was talking earlier about the color science of Fujifilm and also the color profiles of Fuji. That's part of what I really like about the system, is that their colors and their photos look really great directly out of the camera. I really have no qualms with sending a JPEG of over Wi-Fi directly to my cell phone and posting it right on Instagram, or you could even print it if you were feeling really ballsy. I never used to use any sort of color profiles on any other system, but with Fujifilm, the film simulations are not only beautiful color-wise, but I kind of love the philosophy behind them. It reminds me of going out and shooting film, which I did for years and years, and I still do occasionally. But if you've ever shot film, you're sort of stuck with whatever film stock you choose, be it color or black and white or whatever, at least for a little while on most systems. I think I know that guy. That's cool. So I kind of like picking a film simulation on Fuji and sticking with it for the day. Be it film or be it color or black and white or whatever. Just pick something based on the style. And obviously that only applies to the JPEGs. If you're shooting something with RAW, you can always change it in post or, change your mind later. This video is super long now. It's going to be kind of a hassle to edit, so I'm going to cut it for now and loop back to my bike and try to find a new spot in the city to shoot. Thanks.